DATV, and the Greater Dayton Area League of Women Voters present Meet the Candidates, your chance to learn about the candidates running for office in the November election.
Hello, I'm Becky Kirkland with the League of Women Voters, and I'm here today with candidates running for Vandalia City Council. The candidates running include Bob Ayers, Corey Falak, Brent Jackson, Amber Evolutis Weaver, and Constance Woods. Unfortunately, Bob Ayers and Constance Woods were unable to attend, but we do have the rest of the candidates here with us. So we're going to start off by letting the candidates introduce themselves and tell us a little bit about why they're running. We'll start with Corey.
All right, thank you, and thanks to the League and DATV for giving us this opportunity. My name is Corey Falak. I was born and raised in Vandalia and graduated from Butler High School in 1995. I attended Bowling Green State University and returned back to Vandalia to start my career in public safety or public service, first with Parks and Recreation Department. And then I left Vandalia briefly and went to the city of Mason, where I continued my career in Parks and Recreation Management, and ultimately returned back to the area for the city of Englewood, where I currently am employed as a police sergeant with the Englewood Police Department. I also graduated from the University of Dayton with a master's in public administration, and I've spent the past 11 years in various roles with the city. I'm currently the chairman of the Planning Commission, and have served on other committees and boards for the citizens of Vandalia. And I just feel that I am ready to step up to a challenge of representing you as a city council member this fall.
Thank you so much, Corey. And next we'll go to Brent.
Thank you also to the League of Women Voters and to DATV just to giving us this opportunity to speak to you, the voters who are out there watching. I live in Vandalia with my wife and my 3 children. I also have a business that's located in Vandalia. And I guess these things make me feel like I have a lot of vested interest in seeing the city continue to thrive and succeed. As I was thinking about the possibility of running, I thought, regular people have to be willing to step up and offer their time and their energy to serve the community and to take ownership of this city where we live. So I'm interested in seeing Vandalia continue to be a place where families want to live and businesses can thrive. I think Vandalia is a great city, and I'm excited about our future.
Thank you, Brent. And Amber?
Hi, I'm Amber Evolutis Weaver, and I echo my fellow candidates in thanking the League and DATV. I'm a wife and a mother. I'm a third-generation business, running a third-generation business as operations manager. And I just really felt like it's important for our community to know that people like me can step up and serve in our community in a lot of different ways. I volunteer and serve on some boards in the community, and I just felt like it was important to take that next step and run for office. I got out in the community and talked to people, listened to what they wanted, and I just wanted to take the time to let everybody know that I would be a good person to speak up for you, and on that council, be that person to speak for the citizens of Vandalia.
Thank you so much, Amber. Okay, now is where it gets exciting. We'll start with the questions. So the first question is going to start with Corey. Many towns are dealing with small businesses closing their doors and leaving vacant spaces along the main streets. What thoughts do you have about repurposing those spaces and making them more attractive to future vendors? Is this a problem in Vandalia?
Okay. Well, very timely question, because Vandalia is is dealing with this exact situation. The traditional downtown area along National Road in Vandalia has seen a number of businesses close over the past couple years. The city, I feel, is being proactive and starting the planning process. It's not a quick change, it's not an overnight change, but the city in 2017 and 18 took a look at the planning and zoning codes in Vandalia, which I served on that committee to help rewrite the planning and zoning codes to try to make them more business friendly. And we are currently undertaking the comprehensive plan, which is a 10 to 20 year lookout for development in the city. And one of the areas that has come up out of that comprehensive plan and engaging the citizens is the need for a revitalized downtown and identity. And so looking at that is, is the traditional, what most Vandalians consider downtown really where we want to continue to invest, or do we want to continue to work in that area but also expand the downtown area into a more focal point and maybe relocate that downtown along Dixie Drive and tie into some of the existing infrastructure improvements that have already occurred. Butler High School, the new public library, the art park, and tying that in and making it a larger center point for the community. So one of the things I am supporting is the leverage of public money to help vitalize and launch those improvements to the downtown area and help with the economic development through some of the traditional means that we've already done through EDGE funds and other grants and state subsidies, but to help with serving as an incubator and getting new development, small businesses back in the community along those two main corridors.
Okay, thank you, Corey. And Brent, same question to you. Many towns are dealing with small businesses closing their doors, leaving vacant spaces along the main streets. What thoughts do you have about repurposing those spaces, making them more attractive to future vendors?
Yeah, absolutely. So as Corey mentioned, this is something that Vandalia residents are thinking about a lot these days with the closing of a long mainstay business like Ken's Pharmacy and the Rib House right there along State Route 40 National Road, and the vacant spaces that have been left as a result of that. And then also just the desire on the part of residents to have what they feel like is an attractive downtown, something that maybe has a little bit of charm, someplace that has desirable places to be, places to hang out. We think of a success story like Warehouse 4, a coffee shop that's just sprung up and is such a nice place for residents to gather. So as a council, what could we do to incentivize more development along those lines? And I think there are a couple of things. Number one, for council members and members of the city government to be advocates for our city. We need to be continuing to build bridges and build relationships with business owners and developers that we can be advocating on behalf of the city of Vandalia, saying, hey, this is a great place to locate your business. What can we do to get your company to open up a location here, or to get your business to set up shop here in Vandalia where our residents can patronize you? So that's one thing. And then another thing is, I think that, as Corey mentioned, as a city, what are some regulatory or financial incentives that we can offer? Whether that's tax incentives of some sort. I love the idea of maybe the city setting up an entrepreneurship incubator of some sort that would give residents and people from the area an opportunity to feel like that they can start something in Vandalia and have support from the city and its leaders.
Okay, thank you, Brent. Mm-hmm. And Amber, your thoughts on that? Do you want me to repeat the question again?
No, I'm good. I do understand that is a real problem in Vandalia. We have had some long-standing businesses that were locally owned close in the last few years, and especially quite a few of them recently closed. So we do have some empty buildings that need to be reinvested in. I do sit on the same board that Corey does on the comprehensive plan, and we have been looking at ways to redevelop our city and re-emphasize and move our downtown possibly to the North Dixie area. We've also been looking at ways to reach out to new businesses and incentivize them. I know that our assistant city manager has reached out to some existing businesses and to some other people, trying to get them to look into our city and reach out for some economic development. She has talked to many different businesses and tried to get them to buy into Vandalia. I think that she's done a pretty good job of looking at the way that the plan is and the way that it could be in the future, and we're waiting to see, once that plan is in set, how we can invest in that. I think that this new plan that we are looking at will really address those issues. Just talking to residents, a lot of them have a lot of this desire for those locally owned businesses to come into the community. They just need a little bit of direction on where to start. And so maybe having a launching pad for them on how to get into the community and where to start would be a good start for them.
Thank you, Amber. It sounds like all three of you have some good plans for that. Okay, so next question. We are going to start this one with Brent. So citizens don't often believe elected officials listen to their suggestions or needs. How will you as a council member reach out to the citizens in Vandalia?
Yeah, communication is a two-way street, and a lot of times politicians and elected leaders are fond of letting people hear from them. Politicians who have open mouths but not always open ears. And so in a forum like what we're at today, you're hearing a lot of our thoughts and ideas. But one of the things that I've loved about this process of running for city council is that it's given me an opportunity to just get out into the community and knock on people's doors and talk with the residents and find out, hey, how long have you lived in Vandalia? What kind of changes have you seen? Do you like the direction that you feel like the city is going? And it's been great. Occasionally, I think people are looking at me sideways, wondering if I'm selling something when I come up to their door. But I've had so many wonderful conversations, and in a city like Vandalia, we've really got that small town feel, even though we're just outside of Dayton, which is a bigger city. It's a very family-oriented community, and I don't have any hesitation about even just putting my personal cell phone number on the materials that I'm giving to people. I want to hear what the residents think, and what they would consider to be the highest priority agenda items for the council or for the city leadership. And I think that that's something that's important to maintain even once in office, not just during the campaigning process.
Great. Okay, thanks, Brent. Next, we'll be going to Amber for the same question. Citizens don't often believe elected officials listen to their suggestions or needs. How will you as a council member reach out to the citizens in Vandalia?
I'm actually a really big supporter of being available. So I think that it's important to make sure that you are on all different facets, whether that's email, social media, having coffee with a councilman or councilwoman regularly, meeting at the library, just making sure that you're always available to those and creating that so that you can reach all age levels, whether it's younger people that maybe like to text or call or be on social media, or an older generation that would rather you stop by their house or do it at the library. I think that it would be important, and so if I were elected, I would have regular meetings set up like that.
Great. Thank you, Amber.
You're welcome.
And next we'll go to Corey. Same question.
I think the biggest issue, and Brent kind of alluded to it, but the city does a fairly good job at pushing out information through social media, website, newsletters, and that information. But I think a lot of times citizens don't feel that they have the ear of the city and have to have the means available to do that. And so I think through either an expansion of the city's communication efforts, which some of this has been hindered recently with the one local newspaper in town basically was closed up by the corporate office. So what a lot of citizens did depend on for communication from the city had disappeared. Now there's a effort to revitalize that, but again, it's an online process or presence. And I still think there's a segment of the community that is not getting reached through that online presence, and mostly the older population of Vandalia, which there is a lot of. So I think the city has to prioritize, and council needs to prioritize a communication strategy that will reach all of our demographics in the city. Yes, the social media and Twitter and Facebook and websites and stuff will help with our younger generation and our younger families, but I still think that some of the traditional means, and whether that be through a collaboration with, because we're all suffering, not just Vandalia, Butler Township, the school district, have all lost a major communication piece through the loss of our local newspaper. So I think collaborating with the other two elected bodies in town and putting our heads together and really communicating what the entire community has to offer. Not just the city of Vandalia, not just the township, or not the schools, but using our resources together and approaching it as a more of a regional base for the Vandalia Butler community, and still keeping our separate identities, but letting our residents know, but also people from the outside that are looking to relocate to the Vandalia Butler area, what we have to offer.
Thank you, Corey. And yes, you all seem to agree on social media, but you do run into where you have the age, older population that doesn't use it. And then even with the youngest population, which platform are they using? So that can become a question as well. Okay, let's move on to the third question. We're going to start with Amber this time. And city councils establish objectives for their communities. Please name a short-term and a long-term objective for Vandalia. And why do you think these objectives are important?
Short-term and long-term. Okay. Well, I think we've already kind of covered one of them.
We have.
So the short-term would be, we are still addressing that truck traffic issue. And it's going to turn into a long-term, but there are still things we need to do. And I think that could be dealt with a little bit quicker in ticketing people and not just giving warnings, and doing things a little bit quicker than what we have been. I think we took a little too long in some ways. So addressing the truck traffic issue a little more aggressively. And then I think that objective has kind of been a swing and a miss in some ways. And then I think our long-term objective would be doing the revitalization of the community and dealing with that in how we've already addressed in the other questions.
Okay, thank you, Amber.
You're welcome.
And Corey, we'll go to you next.
Well, I would agree with Amber. I think the short-term objective is starting to mitigate some of the negative consequences of the development that's occurring on airport property by the city of Dayton and the city of Union. The city of Vandalia is realizing zero tax dollars from these developments. However, we are getting the commercial vehicle traffic through town that's starting to have impacts on our city's infrastructure. And in the big picture, it's costing Vandalia citizens and the Vandalia government more money, and we're realizing nothing from that. So I think the short-term objective is that development we have very little control over, if any. City council has the ability to leverage some negotiating with some development that's in the immediate future that borders the city through some agreements with the city of Dayton. However, largely that development is out of the city of Vandalia's control, and so we need to mitigate as best we can through traffic calming measures and enforcement options to that commercial truck traffic through town. Long-term is the city's aging infrastructure. We've got several neighborhoods in town, several main streets in town that are old, and the city is starting to see infrastructure issues with water and sewer issues. Water main breaks are occurring every year at a higher level, and so that's going to take a lot of money and a lot of planning for these neighborhoods that were built back in the 50s and 60s to start to improve that infrastructure. So we need to have a program schedule and how we're allocating our capital improvements monies to help revitalize that infrastructure and expand our roads, our sewers, our park systems that really have been not neglected, but necessarily there's just more of them than we've had resources available in the past several years.
Got it. Okay, thank you, Corey. And Brent, objectives for Vandalia, short-term and long-term?
Yes. So I agree with my colleagues here about the short-term objective. And as you get around and talk to Vandalia residents, you hear that this is a commonly felt pain point among the residents. They don't like the truck traffic. They don't necessarily appreciate all of the development that's going on in airport property. It's not under the jurisdiction of Vandalia City Council to determine what is developed on the airport property, but how do we manage what is going on and how can we interact with City of Dayton and businesses that are coming in to develop those properties to make it as palatable as possible, as beneficial as possible for Vandalia, the city, and the residents. And how do we handle the truck traffic that is coming as a result of those things, again, in such a way that it's as beneficial as possible for our residents. So I think that is definitely the number one short-term objective. It's something that everybody's talking about and thinking about, and a lot of people have strong opinions about it, and we definitely want to take those into consideration. And then on a long-term level, I think you always want to keep in mind demographics, and you want to think about. I'm involved in the leadership of the church where my family goes, and you realize that you want to be attracting new people and thinking through ways to meet their needs in much the same way with a city. How are you attracting the next generation to live in your city and meet their needs? And I think about it because my family moved to Vandalia in the last several years, and we wanted to move to Vandalia. So I think, well, what drew us to the city, and how can we kind of magnify those things for other young families that might be looking to relocate? How can we draw them to our city?
Okay, thank you, Brent. And next we'll be going back to Corey. We are done with the questions, so now we're just going to go to closing statements. Corey, if you would like to let the audience know any closing remarks or anything else we should know about you.
All right. Well, as you know, this fall is an election, and we're in a unique position in Vandalia because for the first time in probably close to 20 years, we have an opportunity to make some significant changes on City Council. There are 3 seats open this fall. We have a new mayor that will be taking office who's running unopposed, and we have 3 council seats that are open. And I think for the first time in several years, we've got a number of candidates that offer a lot of different things to come to the table. And so I like to offer my longevity in Vandalia, my formal education in public administration, and my 24 plus years of public service, both to Vandalia and 3 other municipalities, as an experience, a voice that has experience that can represent you on City Council, but also offer a fresh perspective to the organization and bring some experiences from other organizations to Vandalia. Thank you.
Thank you, Corey. And Brent, if you'd like to do some closing remarks for the audience.
Yes, absolutely. I've enjoyed getting to know Vandalia residents as I'm out and about, and I think we've got a thriving business community and we've got a wonderful city, and I am excited about the future of our city and the things that we can accomplish together. If I can win your support, I'll look forward to serving this coming term. If you want to learn more, you can visit my website at brentforrestjackson.com or like the Facebook page, facebook.com /Jackson for Vandalia, /Jackson for Vandalia, and would love to have your support. Reach out to me on there. I'd love to meet you if you're interested in just sitting down and spending some time talking.
Thank you, Brent. And Amber, some closing remarks for the audience?
Well, I just want to remind everyone that I'm just a regular person that decided to get involved. I've been in the community for about a decade, and just a wife and a mother that started serving on some boards and commissions. I volunteer regularly. I've got business experience, and I just decided to answer that call. And so when you're making your decision on who to vote for, I have some good experience in the community. I have a lot of experience actually serving and being on boards and making decisions when it comes to our city, and I think that it would be a good choice for you to vote for Amber.
Thank you, Amber, and I want to thank all three of you for taking the time out of your busy schedules to be here with us today and to let us get to know you a little bit more personally. And I wish you all three the best of luck in your campaigns.
Thank you very much.
The League of Women Voters encourages all candidates to run an issues-oriented campaign. Our goal is to educate the voting public and strengthen our elective political process. We encourage everyone to vote on Tuesday, November 5th. And the ever-popular League Voters Guide is available in all libraries and through your local newspaper. Whether you vote early, absentee, or at the polls, your opinion matters, and your vote makes our democracy work.